as you can see, the guy puts them down.
Yeah.
No,
Well, if I can, I'll take those with me and put them in the computer.
okay, fine. Then,
So actually, after you and I talked, I emailed the National Veterans Record Service or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and they sent me your file. So I
Yeah.
I saw that you were on the Norton Sound,
yeah.
and I looked it up.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you knew the history of it, but after the war.
After what happened, this amazing story about that. I remember when we came into Norfolk, Virginia, our first skipper, a guy named Benjamin Scott Custer, was our first skipper, and he had never been in combat.
Mm-hmm.
And he had graduated from the Naval Academy, whatever class or something, and he said, well, we're going to do this. Well, we were sailed out of San Diego. We had no sound gear, and they wanted us to go to San Diego to have sound gear. And he said no, he wanted to get our ship into combat. Well, of course, a lot of combat was way up. We left Long Beach. We had no sound gear. We sailed to Pearl Harbor. And everybody said, well, maybe we'll get into Pearl Harbor. Because we had a lot of guys on our ship that were old guys that had already lost a ship. In other words, they had been in other ships in combat. And so instead of that, we had seaplanes. In fact, there's one of them in one of the pictures here.
Yeah, it was a seaplane tender. There were some photos online.
Yeah. So anyway, we had these big Martin gold-winged seaplanes. And so anyway, we were sailing from Pearl. We got to Pearl, and they said, no, we have to go down to Kwajalein in the Marshall Islands. And then in Weetalk, I think the Carolinas or whatever. We went to Kwajalein, and we had no sound gear. Well, we were about a day out of Pearl, and all of a sudden, what they call general quarters. And I went, what the hell? They said, well, our intelligence tells us from somebody else that somebody else, one of our pilots, said there's two submarines tracking you. And of course, whether it was Navy submarine or U.S. Navy or Japanese, we had no idea. So of course we stayed on general quarters for like 2 days. You know, because we were on so many hours and then get off. And this crazy skipper. So he gets on and he's old salts and this guy's crazy son of a bitch. He said, you know, he said, well, we know that we have the 5-inch guns and we have the 40 millimeters. If they surface, they can't stay underwater too long if they're the same submarines. And when they come up to get air and so on, whatever, we'll blow them out of water. Well, of course, the guys on our ship said, this guy's nuts. So anyway, but that was our first experience of general quarters for all those days.
Mm-hmm.
No sub ever came up. And they said, when we got to Kwajalein and Weetalk, I forget which one we went to first. Both of them were tiny little goddamn islands down there. Specks on the map. And they said that the scuttlebutt was a Navy submarine the first time, and then the second time they said it was another submarine that were on the silence, and that was one of ours. Well, then we all felt relieved, and we got a 1-day liberty to go 5 cans of beer and go on the beach and run around and so on and so forth. Then we started up for Guam.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, Guam and Saipan were still in action up there. So we started up there. That was the first time that we really had to spend most of our time on general quarters.
Mm-hmm.
And but then that was secured. Iwo Jima was going on at the same time in January. Iwo was going on, and I think Palau was at the same time. So there was other things, and our planes were being used in different places. They'd take off, and we went sitting for. And they were pretty many patrol thing. They were looking for submarines. They were looking for mines, and for the invasion beaches, they would go around and they would drop patterns of things that if a sub or something came between it, it would light up a thing. Or and they also would detect landmines are in there, or underwater mines. In other words, for invasion ships and so on. So their things were always, they'd fly away and come back.
Right.
So they were a pain in the ass. Many of them were a pain in the Airedales. We called them the Airedales. And they were a pain in the ass most of the time, because when they were out flying, they only had to fly so many hours. And I think to get their extra pay, and they all got extra pay for combat pay, they'd lay around the deck, you know, we were trying to get things done and so on. But anyway, but that was the thing. But when we came home, we lost Ben Scott Custer. He got transferred, and we got another skipper. And he had been a combat pilot. He was a little character, much of a character. And in fact, we didn't get him until I guess it was Okinawa we got him. Because when we were coming home, he went off to Rocker, and he was, but he had been at the Battle of Midway, and he was a Midway pilot. And he went off as Rocker, and we ended up taking him from back to Pearl under guard, and we got another skipper at Pearl. But when we got back to Norfolk, Virginia, we sailed in Norfolk, Virginia. Who the hell's standing on the dock in Norfolk or Portsmouth, Virginia, with our old skipper, Ben Scott Custer? He comes aboard to welcome all you, we call plank holders, all the guys that put the thing into commission, all your plank holders and so on and so forth. And so he said they're trying to get us to sign up in reserves. Well, everybody said, yeah, bullshit, you know. He said, oh, no, there'll be just no more war, you know, and they'll be called up after the women and children and so on and so forth. Well, we didn't do it, we didn't sign up, but then after that, about maybe a month or two later, some of the guys that did, one of them named Murray and another guy named Gerst, not Gerst, what the hell's his name, Kirkin, they signed up. We heard they went to the North Pole. I thought, Jesus Christ. Well, then about maybe 6 or 7 years later, more than that, I guess. In fact, if you got the record, you'll probably find. They converted it to a communication ship. Mm-hmm. And the first woman, sailor, she got killed. She disappeared off that ship in the Pacific somewhere. And it was amazing. We said, Jesus Christ, what the hell did they do with that ship?
Yeah, it became like a research and development ship.
Well,
so all of this super high-tech stuff, way before it got generally adopted.
Well, the funny thing is we never knew when we got the ship that there must have been another Norton Sound, because when J.E., he said he looked in the Navy records for crew members. In fact, my name's not even on there as a crew. J.E. looked at the crew thing and he said he couldn't find John Thomas. He said, my name's on there. He said, I can't find J.T. Oh, here's the picture here. Oh, here's the picture of the guys in the C division. That was the communications division he was in. See, John E. Nolan. He's the little guy right there. Let's see, that's John E. Nolan right in there.
Okay.
In fact, he's on these pictures here too. You can see John E.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a little short guy.
Okay.
And but John E. said he looked up a crew thing and they didn't have. So he said there must have been another Norton Sound before us. We might not have been the first Norton Sound because they were named after bodies of water. Like they had the Curtis. And they had, what was the other one? The Curtis, that was the one that got hit at Okinawa with us, and the Pine Island. The Pine Island, both of them took kamikazes. One was on that side, one was on that side, and they both took kamikazes. And they both took heavy casualties. I mean, they could see the ship. I actually have a picture of the ship. Oh, hell.
I think I might have one, or I can find it.
Well, the picture, if you look at the ship, the flight deck in the back, in a hangar, it's a big hangar deck. And I got a picture somewhere in the house. It's probably down in the cellar with some of my old stuff. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's not a very good picture of it. Then. No. This must be the new one. Yeah, this
that was after it was.
That's the new one. Yeah, that's after. But the old one, I'll find a picture in the house somewhere. The old one was.
That's since 1970.
That's the.
So it had a flat area in the back.
Yeah. But let me see if that's the first one. Yeah, that looks more like ours, but no, it's not. This is, but they're much. Because my gun thing was right in front of the bridge. No, that's not it. No, that must be.
Well, this was February 45.
Well, that must be it then. Let me see if it has the side. Because the. Oh yeah, this is the one with the painting on it. Yeah. But let me see if I can. Oh, that's a picture of it from the bow. But see the hangar deck. It doesn't show the hangar deck. I have to find that picture.
This is the hangar deck.
The hangar deck was.
This is movies in the hangar from.
Yeah, that's a movie. That's the way we saw movies. That's right. That's inside the hangar deck. But the hangar, they had behind the hangar. We could get 3 PBMs on the back. That's why we had the big crane on the back. That crane used to pick up. So we could set 3 PBMs on the flight deck. And then we just lowered them into the water when they were taken off. But we'd bring them into the hangar. We'd get 2 in the hangar at one time to repair.
Right.
Because that was our big job to repair. That's when we had movies. They called them the flicks. The flicks. when we got down to after the war, Hong Kong, we used to have some of our friends in the British Navy and British Armed Forces. We met there. We could bring them on our ship, and they would come aboard and see flicks. And two guys from Ireland. I kept in touch with them for about 2 years, and they were very Irish, but they were very impressed. Come aboard our ship. These guys got flicks every night, and we had some funny stories about the flicks. And the most popular was the John Everett. We were kidding about that the other day. Not the other day. I haven't seen. He was going to Florida this year he had a place in Florida. His son runs his business now, but we were kidding about that. When we went to Japan, Yokosuka Naval Base was by Yokohama, below Tokyo, and I had a seaplane ramp there. We could planes could go up on wheels and come up on the ramp. And one day a Marine guy was at the airport, and it was Tyrone Power, and one of the movies we saw on the ship, and it took us a week to see the whole movie because every night, about the time we'd have the flicks going on, it would be general quarters, and that's when the kamikazes would come over. We'd have the general quarters, so they would say, well, the movie was, so we continued it. And in that movie, Maureen O'Hara is a prisoner, like on the Black Swan, it's called, the movie. And his name is Jamie. And he tells Maureen O'Hara that he begins, well, of course they fall in love, you know, naturally. He's a pirate. And so he said he wouldn't touch her or something until she called him Jamie Boy 3 times or something like that. So anyway, by the end of the movie she does. But we remembered that so well, seeing the goddamn movie for so long. Right. So when he showed up at Yokosuka, guys were yelling, Jamie Boy, Jamie Boy. What the hell's wrong with you guys? They said, Christ, we had to watch that goddamn movie for a week. and so there was a big joke about it. But Farley Granger was another guy we had done, what do you call it thing? I just see he died a couple of weeks ago. But we run into these people all the time, but it was so funny, but that was fun. But John Edward, yeah, John. And the other guy is this guy named Montgomery. His name is Robert Lee Montgomery. And I tried to track him down when I was in Indianapolis because he lived in a place called New Albany, Indiana. Now, who the hell ever heard of New Albany, Indiana? So we tried, in fact, I tried to get him on a phone thing. I said, you know, he shouldn't be too hard to find. And I'm talking about the other guy here. Who's the guy? Oh, he must identify it on here. He's a petty officer. But anyway, but John went into communications, and I stayed in the C division, and then I transferred to the storekeeper division. That's when I was storekeeper when I got out. And actually I was still a striker. I never even got my stripe, but 3rd class. But anyway, I was in the storekeeper. That's when I got to run the stand, which is ice cream stand, in the ship. And that was the best job on the ship when we got to Japan. Boy, that was great. That was fabulous.
So you did a fair bit of occupation after the war.
Oh yeah.
In Japan.
Oh yeah. That was really great. We did there from September, from September 2nd, we went from there to, you had to track the ship. If you got your what's called there, went to Japan, and then we went around to Sasebo, which is a Navy base on the other side of Japan, down by Nagasaki. It's down around the corner of Nagasaki. And that's a big Navy base there. And we did duty there, picket duty there. And the picket duty there was really, the toughest thing was we rode around in rearming boats. Rearming barges were a barge maybe as long as this living room and about half as wide, and flat bottom, and you carried the torpedoes and you carried things to rearm the planes out. The planes were sitting in the water. We bring them out and load the planes, but we had to ride up and down around the Navy base and around the waterways to keep the Japanese from coming into the water. Right. And they'd be standing around. They depended on the water for fishing and everything else. And you'd see these sullen people standing there. We had to we're sidearms and ride up and down all the little inlets, and that's really, it would be like going down around Annapolis and going up and down all those waterways. It was really tough to see that, and those people were just standing there and you said, Jesus Christ, what they'd all like to take a shot at us, I'm sure, but it was interesting. But and some guys I used to worry about, because some guys you put a 45 on the side and they think they're God, and and we were all the same age, and we're all 19 years old, 19
right.
years old.
That's kind of amazing, 19-year-olds doing all this.
Yeah, I mean, what else do you have, and you say, geez. And, but it was, the funny part about it is, when it came to general quarters, you were kind of excited. When I first went to general quarters, I was excited as hell. I mean, in fact, outside of the captain's cabin, there was a water tank, and it had a pipe sticking out the bottom of it. And my gun troop, I was on a quad 40, a 40 millimeter quad in the front and the bow.
Were those anti-aircraft guns?
Yeah, and it was right under the bridge. And we had a quad on the bow, and we had 2 quads in the back. We had a quad in the back, in the bow, and the stern. We had 2 quads, and we had a quad where there was 4 quads, and then we had 20 millimeters all around the sides. And but I mean, we could throw up a hell of a lot of lead. But The amazing thing, I was running up to gun quarters, and I had my helmet in my hand, and I run up, and I hit the damn thing, and it knocked me down on the floor. And when I get into, on the gun mount, I went to put my hat on, my face was all covered with blood because I cut my head open. I said, Jesus Christ, I'm already a casualty. And the guy said, Christ, only you get a Purple Heart the first time you're up here. Anyway, it got better. But that was funny as hell. I put the hat on, Jesus, I got the blood coming down my head. But that was, but it's exciting. It actually, and it's exciting until like when the Pine Island got hit. Pine Island was a converted ship. That ship was a cargo ship of some kind, and they took all the stuff off the back and made it, but it looked more like a cargo ship. Now, Curtis was the first seaplane tender I think they had built. That was the 7. We were 11. They were the 7. I think Pine Island was 12. But the difference was, pardon me, hello?